a nuclear-powered spacecraft sent by aliens to test how humans respond. The U.S. Army just dropped bombshell NASA footage showing the mysterious 3E Atlas object behaving like nothing we've ever seen before. This isn't your typical space rock. It's pulsing with green energy, making impossible course corrections, and appears to be steering itself directly toward Mars with clockwork precision. Military sources are staying quiet, but the evidence is undeniable. Is this our first encounter with alien technology? Could we be witnessing an extraterrestrial probe targeting our neighboring planet? The unexpected discovery. On a warm summer night, July 1, 2025, astronomers spotted something unusual streaking through our solar system. They named it 3E Atlas. And at first, no one thought much about it. Music, space rocks pass through our neighborhood all the time. But this one was different. It came from outside our solar system, an interstellar visitor. Only the third one we've ever detected. The first calculation showed it would simply pass by Mars at a comfortable distance before continuing its journey into deep space. Just another cosmic tourist to study and catalog. But within weeks, something strange started happening. The numbers weren't adding up. 3E Atlas wasn't following the path it should. Objects in space typically follow predictable routes pulled around by gravity. This one seemed to be adjusting itself. Its path was becoming more precise as it approached, not less. The opposite of what natural objects do. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb was among the first to notice and suggest something that sounded crazy. What if this wasn't just a space rock? What if it was something technological, something built? The speed alone was eye-opening. 3E Atlas moves at nearly 87 kilometers per second relative to our Sun. That's so fast it could travel from Earth to the Moon in just 80 minutes. But even more surprising was how its trajectory kept tightening, becoming more exact as it approached the inner solar system. Every new observation confirmed what seemed impossible. This object was somehow steering itself and its path was taking it closer and closer to Mars. As observatories around the world turned their instruments toward this mysterious visitor, the data revealed more surprises. This wasn't behaving like any comet or asteroid we've seen before. It moved with purpose, made adjustments to its course, and seemed to be aiming itself with impossible precision. What started as a routine astronomical observation quickly became one of the most puzzling events in recent scientific history. And as more data poured in, the story of 3E Atlas became even stranger. The impossible trajectory. What makes 3E Atlas truly baffling is how it moves through space. Normal comets and asteroids get pushed and pulled by all sorts of forces. The sun's gravity tugs them one way. Giant planets like Jupiter pull them another. And when comets heat up, they sometimes spew out gas that gives them a little kick in a random direction. These forces create paths that wobble and drift in predictable ways. But 3E Atlas breaks all these rules. Every hour tiny gravitational forces from the Sun, Jupiter, and Mars should be tugging on it, changing its speed by just micrometers/s. These tiny changes add up over millions of km, creating noticeable shifts in where an object ends up. But when astronomers track these changes for 3E Atlas, they see something impossible. The object is actively correcting its path, canceling out these random forces to stay on a very specific course toward Mars. The latest analysis from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory shows 3E Atlas will pass within just 1.95 million kilometers of Mars on September 26, 2025. In everyday terms, that's over 5 times the distance between Earth and the Moon, which sounds like a safe margin. But in astronomical terms, it's incredibly close. Close enough for Mars's gravity to significantly influence the object. What's truly alarming is that with just a small additional push, just 10 kilometers per second more velocity, it could shift from a near miss to a direct hit. These velocity changes seem to be happening right now, hidden in the tail of the object. Astronomers are watching in real time as 3E Atlas makes tiny but precise adjustments to its course. If current patterns hold, by September 19th, the object will have moved close enough to bring it within 50,000 kilometers of Mars, closer than some of Mars' own. At that point, even one more adjustment could put it on a collision course. No natural comet behaves this way. As they approach the Sun, comets typically become more erratic as their ice heats up and releases gas randomly. 3E Atlas is doing the opposite, becoming more controlled, more precise with each passing day. It's acting less like a mindless rock and more like a vehicle with someone at the wheel making calculated adjustments to hit a specific target. This behavior has left even the most skeptical scientists struggling for a natural explanation. The strange physical properties. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter recently captured detailed images of 3E Atlas revealing even more mysteries. The cloud of gas and dust surrounding the object called the coma has doubled in brightness since August. But that's not the weird part. What's truly bizarre are the high-energy spikes in the ultraviolet spectrum that don't match any known comet behavior. The most compelling evidence came from the Gemini South Telescope in Chile. Their instruments detected something that defies natural explanation. Instead of venting gas randomly as ice heats up and turns to vapor, 3AI Atlas emits perfectly timed pulses of gas, exactly one burst every 17 minutes. These pulses have remained perfectly synchronized over days of observation, creating a pattern that looks more like a machine than nature. Each pulse produces a tiny push in exactly the right direction to keep the object aligned with Mars's orbital path. When comets approach the Sun, they do release gas as their ice warms up, but it happens chaotically. Random spurts from wherever the heating is strongest. These eruptions don't follow a schedule, but 3E Atlas releases its gas with machine-like precision, similar to how spacecraft use thrusters to adjust their position. Amateur astronomers with backyard telescopes have also noticed something strange about the tail. Unlike normal comets that have a single fuzzy tail, 3E Atlas sports three distinct needle-like beams that glow with an eerie green light. These beams pulse with the same 17-minute rhythm and when photographed with long exposures appear to point directly toward Mars as if mapping the path ahead. The carbon dioxide being released is also far beyond what any known comet produces. It's like watching a rocket engine firing in controlled bursts rather than the gentle outgassing of a normal space rock. The regularity, the precision, and the directional control all point to something that seems designed rather than natural. And as scientists continue to study these patterns, the evidence for some kind of artificial control becomes harder and harder to dismiss. Harvard's bold theory. A vibe isn't a stranger to controversial ideas. The Harvard astrophysicist previously suggested that Oumuamua, our first observed interstellar visitor in 2017, might have been alien technology. Perhaps a light sail from an advanced civilization. Most scientists dismissed his theory then. But now looking at 3 Atlas, even the skeptics are starting to pay attention to what Lowe has to say. Lowe and his student Adam Hibbard have published a paper that's causing a stir in the scientific community. They propose that 3 Atlas isn't a natural object at all, but a directed messenger, essentially a probe sent by an advanced civilization. Their calculations show that with each precisely timed gas pulse, the object isn't randomly losing mass. It's using that gas as propellant, deliberately steering itself through our solar system. What really caught everyone's attention were the radar readings. High-gain antennas at Goldston bounce signals off 3I Atlas's core, and instead of the soft diffuse returns you'd expect from an icy body, they received hard metallic echoes, more like what you'd get from a spacecraft. These readings suggest the core might contain metals that couldn't possibly form naturally in deep space, pointing to an artificial structure surrounded by a shell of ice and dust. Lowe argues that the energy needed to make the trajectory changes we're seeing is far beyond what natural processes could provide. The object would need more than 10 billion joules of focused energy, vastly more than any comet outburst ever recorded. His team suggests that 3 Atlas might contain advanced power systems hidden beneath its icy surface, generating the energy needed to vent gas in precisely timed bursts and navigate our solar system with incredible precision. The Harvard team's theory goes further. They suggest the object might be programmed to either graze Mars closely, to deploy smaller probes, or possibly even crash deliberately to release materials from concealed compartments. If true, we're not just watching a comet. We're watching the arrival of alien technology in our solar system. The first concrete evidence that advanced civilizations exist beyond Earth. The Mars impact scenario. If 3-2 Atlas continues its current trajectory adjustments and actually collides with Mars, the consequences would be enormous. With its estimated mass of 10 billion tons, including what appears to be a dense metallic core about 400 m wide, a direct hit would release energy equivalent to 2 million megatons of TNT. That's thousands of times more powerful than the largest nuclear weapon ever tested on Earth. The impact would create a crater roughly 60 kilometers wide and 5 kilometers deep, instantly reshaping a significant portion of the Martian landscape. The shock wave would travel across the planet, potentially being detected by seismometers on NASA's InSight lander. Even on the other side of Mars, a massive plume of debris would rise above the impact site with some material achieving escape velocity and being thrown into space. This wouldn't just be a geological event. It would have direct consequences for human exploration. Mars currently hosts numerous scientific missions including orbiters, landers, and rovers, representing billions of dollars in investment and decades of scientific effort. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter Perseverance rover and other assets could be damaged or destroyed by the impact itself or the resulting debris cloud. Computer models suggest that fragments from such an impact could eventually reach Earth's vicinity. If 3I Atlas is artificial and contains unknown technology or materials, these fragments could spread throughout the inner solar system. What starts as a collision with Mars could eventually have consequences much closer to home. The timeline is concerning. September 26, 2025 marks 3IA Atlas crossing Mars's orbital path with the week before representing the final window for course adjustments. During this period, the object will be moving at about 57 kilometers per second relative to Mars, fast enough that even a glancing blow would cause catastrophic damage to the planet's surface. Scientists are now watching every tiny adjustment in the object's path, trying to determine whether a collision is becoming more or less likely with each passing day. The evidence for design, the evidence suggesting 3I Atlas might be artificial, continues to mount. The European Space Ice Mars Express spacecraft recently captured images showing 3 small reflective objects in high orbit around Mars arranged in a perfect triangle formation. Initially dismissed as camera artifacts, they appeared in exactly the same positions across 3 consecutive orbits, suggesting they're physical objects maintaining fixed positions relative to each other. Some researchers speculate these might be scout probes previously deployed by 3I Atlas during an earlier undetected pass through our solar system. Lowe has urged NASA to search through archival data for any metallic fragments on the Martian surface that could match these observations. If found, they would represent the first physical evidence of interstellar technology ever recorded. The radar signatures bounced back from 3I Atlas's core are unlike anything ever recorded from a comet, showing characteristics more similar to manufactured metal alloys than natural ice and rock. The object might have an artificial core disguised by a natural-looking exterior, perfectly camouflaged to appear like a comet for casual observation, but harboring technology inside. Even the energy patterns are suspicious. The 3 green streams that make up its tail contain elements not typically found in comet tails, and they pulsate with a precision that has no natural explanation. The synchronized nature of these emissions, their perfect timing, and their directional control all point to something designed rather than formed by random cosmic processes. Whether 3 Atlas represents a derelict spacecraft from a long-dead civilization or an active probe sent to study our solar system, the evidence increasingly suggests we're witnessing something manufactured rather than natural. Global response and monitoring. Space agencies worldwide aren't taking chances with this unprecedented situation. While their public statements remain cautious, behind the scenes, emergency protocols have been activated. NASA, the European Space Agency, Roscosmos, China's CNSA, and Japan's JAXA have all formed special task forces to monitor and respond to 3I Atlas. Inside NASA, preparations are well underway. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has been repurposed to act as a forward radar, tracking 3 Atlas with unprecedented detail. The Deep Space Network, normally used to communicate with distant spacecraft, has shifted resources to maintain constant observation of the object. Every available radio telescope has been pointed toward the mysterious visitor, searching for any artificial signals it might be transmitting. By mid-September, virtually every major observatory on and above Earth will be focused on this single object. The Hubble Space Telescope, James Webb Space Telescope, and ground-based facilities worldwide are being coordinated to provide continuous coverage. Amateur astronomers have also been enlisted in this global effort, creating a planet-wide network of observers documenting this extraordinary event from every possible angle. For the first time in history, scientists are seriously discussing whether humanity should attempt to intercept or deflect an interstellar object. These conversations raise profound questions about our response to potential alien technology. If 3I Atlas is artificial, what would an attempt to destroy or divert it say about us? And what might the consequences be for humanity's first interaction with extraterrestrial intelligence? The approaching encounter. As September approaches, the world watches and waits. News channels run special segments about the approaching object, while social media fills with theories ranging from scientific to supernatural. The official silence becomes more noticeable with each passing day. NASA issues carefully worded updates acknowledging 3I Atlas's unusual characteristics without speculating on their cause. The central mystery remains unsolved. Is this merely an unusual natural phenomenon? We don't yet understand. A derelict spacecraft from a long-dead civilization still following programmed instructions millions of years after its creators vanished. Or perhaps an active probe deliberately sent to study our solar system, the cosmic equivalent of the rovers we've sent to Mars. If 3 Atlas strikes Mars, the impact would be visible from Earth with moderate telescopes. A flash of light followed by a slowly expanding cloud of debris. The collision would create the largest new crater on Mars in recorded human history, potentially revealing layers of the Martian subsurface that have remained hidden for billions of years. For scientists, this represents both an extraordinary threat and an unprecedented opportunity. If 3 Atlas is artificial and makes contact with Mars, it would be the first confirmed interaction between objects from different star systems, possibly even different civilizations. The scientific implications would be enormous, fundamentally altering our understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. As Mars rises in our night sky this September, remember that above that rusty world, an interstellar visitor is threading a cosmic needle, pulsing its strange green exhaust and adjusting its path with impossible precision. Every telescope on and above Earth will be watching to see what happens next. The first definitive evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence might not arrive as a radio signal from deep space as many have expected. Instead, it might come as a glowing green object deliberately targeting our neighboring planet, forever changing our understanding of life in the universe. Thanks for watching another episode. While you are still here, make sure to click the video on your screen for more quality content.